always, I'm so happy to have you guys here with me today to talk about knitting and the fiber arts. If you would like to find me on social media, I am at Zoe Nichols on Instagram and Ravelry, and you can find my hand-dyed yarn on Etsy, and that is under Felicity Yarn Studio. So if you are a first-time viewer, a big welcome, and thank you so much for checking this podcast out. And to all of my returning viewers, a big thank you to you guys as well for sticking around. I hope that everyone is well. I hope that you're all healthy and staying sane right now. I'm not going to harp too much on the elephant in the room. I just wanted to say that if you are feeling like you're living in the movie Groundhog's Day, it was really nice, not gonna lie, to get up and like do my hair, do my makeup, put real clothes on. So that's my pro tip to you. Just do it for yourself, if nothing else, to kind of, you know, break up the monotony and keep yourself a little bit sane. So yeah, I am back a little bit more on the kind of schedule that I would like to be on as far as recording goes, and I have lots of things to share with you today. The first thing I'm going to start with is spinning, and apologies if I keep looking down, I just have my notes in front of me here. So I have this finished yarn to share with you. This is from some fiber by the Spinning Mermaid. This was some of her woolly buns, and this is in the colorway Sweet Clouds. It was 3.6 ounces of fiber. I got approximately 242 yards, and I measured at 18 wraps per inch, but I feel like it's not quite that. I don't know if that's super reliable. I was aiming for a fingering weight, but I feel like it is closer to a sport, to maybe even a DK weight yarn. I was aiming to spin this to use with the other fingering weights that I've been spinning recently, to use for the Dathan pullover. However, I don't know, it just, when I was drafting, it just didn't want to go quite that thin, and that's fine. I'm probably still going to use it with those other yarns. I don't think it's going to be super noticeable. But it's a really beautiful blend of colors. The like deep purple with the lavenders and the peach and the cream in there. I really enjoyed this colorway a lot. So if you're new here, I am a relatively new spinner myself. I started spinning about 6 months ago. I got a shocked ladybug. I really enjoy my wheel. I did have 1 or 2 hiccups with plying this yarn together, mainly that when I was plying, one of the strands somehow got wrapped around the shaft that the bobbin sits on. So my tension and my uptake was really weird, and I couldn't figure it out. I kept making my tension tighter and tighter and tighter until finally I like saw that it was wrapped around there, and I was like, oh. So it is plied pretty tightly together on like half of the skein, but once I soaked it and let it hang, a lot of that did kind of work itself out. There is still like, there's a little curly Q right there, if you can see it. So I don't know, not my best spin, but I really love the colors. I will say it's probably pretty close to a true worsted spin, which I'm trying to learn to do woolen spinning. I'm gonna sidetrack here. Blueprint is offering free classes on their website through April 9th right now, which is extremely generous of them. So I have actually been looking at the Drafting from Worsted to Woolen Spinning class by JC Boggs Faulkner, and it's been really helpful. I have like 2 units of the class left, like 2 videos left to watch, and that's where the real true woolen information is going to be covered. So I haven't actually spun anything yet since watching the class. I kind of wanted to watch it all and absorb the information, and then I'll probably have it playing and sit down with my wheel and actually spin at the same time of kind of watching and taking in that information a second time. So yeah, and the reason I want to do the woolen spinning is I have some commercially spun yarn, the Nightshades, which is a worsted spun yarn, and I'd like to do color work with that. So I want to spin whatever I use as a contrast color, but I want the spin to be similar so that the garment comes out as best possible. So say hi, Oliver. He just wandered in here. That brings us to knitting, and I do have one finished object to share with you guys. I have finished my Every Last Drop socks, or at least that's what I keep calling them when I want to use up the last little bit of a partial skein or some unknown amount of yarn. This is just some mystery yarn that I picked up from a thrift shop when I was in Florida with Naomi a couple years ago. The heels, toes, and cuffs are from a mini from Lorna's Laces, and that was in a set that was a Beauty and the Beast colorway that they did when that live action version came out a few years ago. But anyway, I don't have a ton to say about these other than I did use, I'm normally a 72 stitch sock person on my size 1, 2.25 millimeters. I did do these on size 1.5, 2.5 millimeters, and at 68 stitches, since the yarn did look a little thicker when I was working with it. But since washing them, they are pretty loose fabric. I'm not super worried about it. The cuff I had done on ones though. I did remember that because I had started the cuff before doing the main body a while ago. So the cuff's nice and tight, but the foot's a little bit loose. I'm curious to see how they are after washing them, because I did wear them around the house the other day. But anyway, I think they're fine. They'll be good everyday socks regardless. That leaves me to works in progress, and I have been working on another test knit for Wool and Pine. That is a design collab between Selena of Dank Fiber and Abby of Abby Knits. This is the Scotch Broom crop, and they have found a way to take the Scotch Broom stitch, which is a crochet stitch, and turn it into a knitting stitch. So that is what that looks like. And you knit the lace panel for the front, and it's basically the exact same thing for the back, and then join them in the round and just do stockinette for the body in the round from there. Then there is a split hem at the bottom, and again, as the name implies, it is a crop top. However, I'm not super big on crop tops for myself, so I'm just gonna go until I run out of yarn, or until I get to a length that I'm a little bit more comfortable with. And they have said that, you know, that's fine. You know, customize your garment to make it how you want. I did go ahead and seam together at the top here, this I-cord cast on. I did go ahead and seam mine together so I could see how it was fitting, and I did opt for a fairly wide kind of boat neck fit on mine. That's another piece of the garment that you can kind of customize for yourself. So since I am on the body and going round and round, I am doing helical knitting. I did use the same skein for the front and the back. But I actually put this aside for a couple of days because I was kind of flying through it pretty quickly, quicker than I anticipated it going. And the reason I did that was so that I could share it with you on the podcast, because if it is finished, then I can't share it with you until April 20th. So I just want to kind of show you guys the progress that I've been making. I really think that I will be through with this fairly quickly. Mindless stockinette in the round is really what I need the last few days here. So yeah, I'm gonna save some more information that I have, or some of my thoughts on the pattern, for a finished object video, which again, I would look for around April 20th. And I don't know if I mentioned or not, this is Olann. This is the yarn that I picked up from Warm and Fuzzy in the Patriot colorway. So the next thing that I have been working on is my adventuring wrap from Ambah O'Brien, and that is in the advent calendar that I dyed up for my shop last year in the crystals and gemstones theme colorways. And I believe I've gotten about 4 more colors added to this since the last time y'all saw it. I was here on the Sodalite colorway, so I've since added turquoise, peridot, sulfur, and howlite, and I'm ready to do the eyelet row on the howlite and then add my next color, which I only have 4 more colors to go on this. I'm really pleased with how this is working up. So just really quickly here, I have, next color is Smoky Quartz, Lepidolite, Amethyst, and Fluorite. So I think those will just round out this shawl really nicely. So I'm pretty pleased with this. The only thing that has been holding me back right now is that I need to cake this last 4 colors up. So that leads me to my next project, which is the Tsubaki Pullover that is by Hiroko Fukatsu. I don't have a project bag for this. I need to get one out. And I am doing this in Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in the Foothills colorway. And I believe I had basically just had the cuff done the last time I showed you guys. So not a ton, what doesn't look like a ton of progress, but it was a lot of kind of finagling and paying attention to what I was doing. But once I kind of got into a rhythm, I figured it out. This is a new construction for me. It is top down, but I believe it's what's called a saddle sleeve. So that little panel there should sit kind of right there on your shoulder. And I thought that I was done with all of my increases, but apparently not. I just started another section of short rows to raise the back of the neck here. But I'm really enjoying this. It's not so consuming that I can't sit there and watch TV while I'm working on it. I just have to make sure that I like tick off every row when I'm done, and I have had to tink back twice, but only because I dropped a stitch at one point and then I forgot an increase at another point, so I probably could have fudged that one, but I don't know, it was easy enough to work back on. But I'm really enjoying the cables, and I really like these little accent cables there. So that was kind of something that I've been wanting to work on for a while, and I'm really pleased with how this is coming along. Finally, the last thing that I have been actively working on is my Battenberg Blanket, which I have talked about in one of my early episodes. I think it's where I talked about long-term projects. But if you haven't seen that and you're not familiar, I am making a king-size blanket for our bedroom, and I've calculated based off of the size of squares that I'm making that I need approximately 3,000 squares for that. So, last time I counted, I was somewhere around 500, I believe. And I've just been making more of them and throwing them in this little bag. I will probably take a day and sew in all of these ends at some point here soon. I do make 4 of each color so that when I'm ready to join them all, I'll kind of do it in quadrants so that they're still somewhat randomized, but then at least I know that they're evenly distributed when they're random, if that makes sense. So yeah, I just plugging away at those, trying to work through some of my minis and advent calendars from previous years. And then finally I did start a second Battenberg blanket. Not for me, it is a gift. If you're familiar with my sister Naomi, she is the yarn curator. She has her own podcast. Our brother and his wife are expecting a baby in June. So they didn't tell us until like February. So I would have started this sooner if I had known. But anyway, I started some squares for a second Battenberg blanket. I am doing one more round on these so that they are coming out bigger than the ones for my blanket and theoretically should go a little faster. They are not finding out the gender of the baby, which I like that idea. So they've requested kind of gender neutral, no like pastel baby colored stuff. So I'm just gonna make this kind of a riot of color and kind of rainbow hodgepodge bright colors. And I want to make a toddler size blanket, which is 40 by 60 inches. These are coming out 2.5 inches each. So I need 16 by 24 squares for that. That is 384 total. So I need 192 colors. And then I'll need the same amount in a like neutral, like a cream or white or a gray. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do for that yet. But I do think I want to alternate them like the pattern says. I had thought about just doing like a straight up kind of scrappy random look, but I don't know. I think the appeal of that pattern is the alternating. It really makes the colors kind of pop off of there. So yeah, that is it for my whips. I have been doing a lot of kind of dream future knitting, planning in my head. I did pick up this issue of Pom Pom magazine to make one of the patterns in here. It is the Celasta by Amalia Sieber of Kindred Red. I love her yarn. This gorgeous pattern here. And this look is achieved by holding a strand of just alpaca, brushed Surrey alpaca. You could also use mohair for this. And then randomly knitting in scraps or strands from like the ties of your yarn to get that kind of interrupted little bursts of color. So I have caked up some Surrey alpaca. I have a bag of scraps. I just have not decided what I want to do for the collar and the cuff and the hems. I don't really want to break into a whole new skein of yarn for that, and I have a lot of partials left over. So like my jigsaw and then a couple of other things. So I just haven't settled on what I'm going to do for that and whether I'm going to do the same thing for all of them or try to utilize more of those partials and maybe do one color for the cuff or the collar, different color for the cuffs, and then maybe a third for the hem. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still kind of planning that in the back of my mind. I mean, if I'm being realistic, I don't know when something like this would get a ton of use, so it's kind of just one of those just for fun knits in the back of my mind. But I really want to make it. Go figure. You guys can see my little co-host down here. But anyway, I have also been doing some dyeing so that I can cast on 2 other sweaters here soon. I want to make Ramblin' Woman by Caitlin Hunter. And I think I've got most of the colors dyed up for that. I kind of want to tweak 1 or 2 of them. And yeah, I'm almost there on that one. But I did also do some dyeing in the same day for the Swallowtail by Jamie Hoffman. So for that, I drew inspiration from my Soldotna that I knit last summer. And these were some of my own hand-dyed yarn colors. This was on a 50/50 cotton and superwash merino base, which you would think that should be nice and cool and good for summer. However, with the color work all over, it is like double thick, so I don't get as much wear out of this as I would really like to. So I love these colors so much that I decided I'm basically just going to use the same thing for the swallowtail, except for I changed the silver gray to more of like a sand color. So this one is Pink Sky, and you can see it doesn't, the same dye recipe doesn't always translate to the base. So that's going to be the main, let me take this down. So this will be my main like body color at the bottom. But if you're looking from the top, I'm going to use this color, which I'm really terrible. I don't even remember my own colorway names. That one, and then this new color, we'll just call that one Sand for now. And then the body will be the pink sky, pink clouds, pink sky, I think. And then the color work is going to be in this color, which is kind of a taupey gray. It's a little more gray on this base than it wound up being on this base. So I don't know how much you could tell from that. So anyway, I am most likely going to be casting on or caking up these yarns at least as soon as I am done recording, because I really want to knit that sweater. I really want something a little bit more wearable in these colors, because I just think this is a really beautiful palette to me. But when I was dyeing them, I just wanted to share some of my dye fails with y'all, because it's not all perfect and glamorous. So the first batch that I had going was coming out really orangey. Way more orangey than I wanted. I wanted more the corally pinky color. So I just kept dumping more and more like magenta pink on there to try to take it a little more pink, and I mean, it's pretty, it's nice. It's just not what I was going for at all. So then the second time I was like, well, let me change the pink that I'm using. And instead I got this kind of like faded terracotta color, which again is pretty, but not at all what I wanted. So I was kind of panicking at that point, because I only had 3 skeins of sock yarn left, and I wasn't sure if the company that I order yarn from was still able to ship any, with the world being the way that it is right now. So I took a break, I stepped away, and I came back about an hour later, and I just took my time and paid really close attention to exactly what I was putting in the dye pot. So I did have to tweak my recipe just a smidge to get it the way that I wanted on this base versus on that wool and cotton base. So I have 3 of each of these colors that will be going into the shop as one-of-a-kinds. Yeah. Which when I was dyeing for Ramblin' Woman, I was also dyeing kind of extras, or there were 1 or 2 colors that weren't quite what I envisioned in my head. So I am going to be loading up the shop next week with like one-of-a-kinds, and I think for the Ramblin' Woman colors, I may bundle them 2 or 3 colors together, since they are kind of designed to look well together for like color work. So keep your eye out for that. I have also marked everything in the shop 30% off right now. I feel like everyone is being super generous and trying to make the best of the situation that we're in. A lot of designers have been very generously offering their patterns up for free for a limited time. Again, the blueprint offer is good through April 9th. So I just wanted to offer something to everybody as well. Again, 30% off all of the yarn in the shop, and I will be adding more things to that. I think I'm just going to run it all month long, and I've been clearing out kind of like one-of-a-kinds and just little experiments that I like to do on the side that maybe don't always make the cut, but I'll be regularly putting more of those in the shop. Just keep, you know, checking back on Etsy for those. And if you ever have any requests, or if I show colors up here that you're looking for, please feel free to shoot me a message. I'm not a huge, I don't dye on a huge scale, but I'm more than willing to do custom orders and work with you on something like that. All right, everyone, I think that is it. I am going to go ahead and wrap it up. I hope that you all stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, don't kill your kids. I will see you guys again, hopefully in about a week. I might not have as much content, but I thought it would be a little nice to check in more frequently with you guys. So happy knitting. I will see you again soon. Bye.